It seems like it was a few years ago that I first saw a 4K TV set, and now they're in, what, 20% of the households or something,
just
Steve?
about this year in the U.S., that's right.
So, Steve, you're showing 10 channels of live 4K programming that a cable operator can get today, right? Why don't you talk about that and we'll have a conversation.
That's right. So over the last couple of years, we've been able to assemble 10 channels of Ultra HD programming, and it's the largest lineup of programming in the world right now. We have a number of cable operators in the U.S. that are pulling it down at this point. Right now they're doing trials. A few are just ready to launch it commercially. So it's been a very exciting time for us, given that 2 years ago there was really nothing like this being delivered anywhere. And in 2 years' time we were able to go from basically demonstrations to live delivery. And if you think about what this was compared to HD, it took about 4 years for HD to go through that process, and we were able to cut that in half and do that in 2 years.
It's really phenomenal, and of course you guys are doing the transport part, but you also are making sure that the end-to-end is working, right?
That's right. So not only do we're the largest satellite operator in the world, and we transport not only HD and Ultra HD and other programming, but we've also went all to either end of the ecosystem. We help the programmers, the content providers develop their channels. We do the playout for them, the encoding, the uplinking to the satellites. And then, most importantly, we help out the MVPDs, whether it's IPTV or cable operators, to receive it into their head ends. We've provided them antennas over the past years to access their satellites, and now we provide them with a receiver that will allow them to receive all 10 of these channels with a single receiver and get it ingested into their system. And then we provide technical support and things like this as they need it, as they start to deploy it through the network. Some of them are involved in technical trials, and others are now doing consumer trials, and we have a few operators that actually have commercialized it into their own Ultra HD TV bundle.
And that requires a set-top, right?
In most cases. Now, there are a few TVs that will able to take the signal in directly. Like, for example, this LG TV we have here and Samsung TVs, they can take it in through the coax. And we have one operator that's how they're delivering it. They're not using a set-top box at all. They deliver it all the way out to their subscribers via coax, which makes it a very easy deployment because they don't have to go out and deploy set-top boxes. But in general, set-top boxes are necessary, and whether you're an IPTV operator or you're a cable operator, getting those out to your subscribers is really key. This is the year, though, that we're starting to see a lot of deployments of set-top boxes. IPTV set-top boxes first, and now we're starting to see what we call the QAM-based, or the cable set-top boxes are starting to roll out. And once that happens and they get integrated into people's systems, now we're going to start to see subscribers like you and I to be able to watch 4K Ultra HD TV.
Not to get too far into this, but the implication about a TV actually being able to decode this directly, does that mean there's decryption and stuff in the TV?
For the most part, no, not for this type of delivery. So these are the operators that they essentially provide the service to all of their subs, and they don't need to do the decryption. But for many operators that have tiered services, then of course you need to be able to authorize the set-tops, and that's why getting the set-tops for some of the larger operators that have those types of operations is really important.
Well, it's really cool, though. You can get it going at day one. Now, the bandwidth, I imagine, is another question people have. How much bandwidth does it take to get this down your broadband pipe?
Yeah, good question. Everybody asks that. They go, oh my gosh, Ultra HD, how much bandwidth does this take? So if we rewind a little bit back to when HD first came out, it was in the compression called MPEG-2, and it took about 18, 19 megabits per second, and you could put it over a broadcast channel, or you could put it over a cable channel. And then along came compression technology, especially MPEG-4, which dropped HD from 18 megabits per second down to 9. So now along comes Ultra HD, and it's 4 times the bandwidth, 4 times the resolution of HD. So you need 4 times the bandwidth. So 9 all the way up to 36. But along comes another compression format called HEVC, or also known as H.265, and this cuts that in half. So we're at 18 megabits per second per channel, which is exactly where we were with MPEG-2 HD years ago. So a lot of, it's what's old is new again, in a sense, right?
Well, and it isn't about megabits and pixels, though. There's some other enhancements that make this really stand out, literally.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of people think about Ultra HD, and they think about, oh, we got all these pixels, and I get this really great picture quality. But it's really a combination of things. It's the pixels. It's also the higher frame rate, so that when you're watching sports and a lot of high action, you don't see as much blur. Then it also has bigger, deeper pixel depth. So we're getting 10 bits per pixel instead of 8. So that gets rid of all this color banding you typically see on skies and those sorts of backgrounds. And then, just as importantly, it's a wider color gamut. So what this does is it gives you more true-to-life colors that you don't see in HD. You get that in Ultra HD. Then the final step, and we call this Phase 2 Ultra HD, is high dynamic range. And now that gives us brighter brights and darker darks. So now we have 5 different things that really come together to create Ultra HD. And so when you're watching it, it's a lot more than pixels. In fact, we like to say it's not more pixels, it's better pixels.
So now there's 3 types of the coding. Why don't you talk about that as far as the color?
With high dynamic range, which is just now coming out, there's 3 versions of it. There's what started out was HDR10, the first version, and then Adobe Vision. And these 2 are primarily designed for OTT type delivery. Then the broadcasters got together and said we need something that's a little bit more efficient and more compact for sending out either over the air or through satellite for cable distribution, and along came HLG, hybrid log gamma. And the neat thing about this is that it looks good on a non-high dynamic range TV as well as on a high dynamic range TV. But if you do have that HDR TV, it really does pop, and really it's a whole new experience in watching TV.
And from a content producer such as myself, then should be looking for hybrid log gamma then, right?
If you're talking to me, yes, that's what I would say, because that's the format that it just seamlessly goes through the networks. You don't have to worry about compatibility or anything like that.
Excellent. Well, Steve, I appreciate your tutorial here. Thank you.
You're welcome.